So yes, I'm here today to speak to you about Ghana, but I'm going to start here at home in Britain. The summer of 2012 was a big year for Britain. In fact, the whole of 2012 was a big year. The Queen's Jubilee and the Olympics left us feeling proud of our country and honoured to be a part of the events and celebrations. There was also a great sense of community over what became the Jubilympic months. Street parties were held, people gathered with neighbours and conversed about successes with strangers. The summer of 2012 also had some personal highs. I finished my GCSEs, I achieved results I was proud of, and I travelled to Ghana for 3 weeks to stay in the village of Bantuma. Many of you are probably aware of the school's link with Bantuma Junior High School, but for those of you who aren't, it's a mixed school, about a 4-hour drive west of the capital of Accra, in a small fishing village. When I heard about the trip, I knew immediately that I wanted to be a part of it. And 50 babysitting jobs, 2 gigs with my band, 5 cake sales and fancy dress, and an awful lot of generous sponsorship later, I had raised nearly £4,000 to fund my trip and the projects that would carry out there. So, in early July, 10 SWPS students and 2 teachers arrived in Ghana with the general idea that we'd land there, stay 3 weeks, change the world, and fly home again. Now, of course, we soon learned that wasn't going to be the case. What we would in fact be doing is taking the first steps towards an ongoing link that will have huge benefits not only for the students of Bantuma, but also for the girls here at SWPS. What those 10 girls didn't realise was just how much we could learn from the Ghanaians, maybe even more than we could teach them. So, I'm here today to share with you some stories. I'd like to tell you what I think we can learn from Ghana to face our own future here home in Britain. So, my first story is set about a week in. Although we'd already carried out some projects at school, such as sanding, varnishing and painting new desks for the classrooms, we were going to be holding our first event that would involve the whole community. We were going to hold a culture day, which would enable us to show aspects of our life home in Britain, whilst the Ghanaians showed us some of their Ghanaian culture. I took the role of community liaison at this part in the trip, which meant that I had to go to a meeting the day before in the school staff room to discuss the plans for the following day. Now, I actually kept a video diary whilst out in Ghana, and I recorded a video when I returned from this meeting. I'm going to play it to you, but I warn you in advance, I speak quite quickly in some parts, so I wasn't preparing to show this to an audience, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. And secondly, take into consideration that by this point in the trip, I've been showering with a bucket shower for about a week. I don't know how much experience you have with bucket showers, but they're pretty hard to use, and that explains my look. It's now 2 something. We just had lunch, which is the same as last night, pastry stuff. And because I'm now community liaison, which is one of the 3 people who kind of manage it, I had to go to a meeting with one of the Ghanaian teachers to kind of sort out culture day for tomorrow. And it was so funny because they were have no sense of urgency. We were trying to plan what we the order of events for tomorrow, because it's like a day thing, and we're kind of sharing culture and all this stuff. And all they cared about was the food. They were like, okay, but when are we going to start? When is the drumming? It was just bleh. So, as you can probably tell from that video, we left the meeting feeling slightly unsure about how the day was going to turn out. We'd practiced our bits and we'd done as much as we could, but there was still that air of uncertainty as to how the Ghanaians would pull off their bits. So I'm going to show you the video that I took after Culture Day when it was all over. Yeah, yesterday we went to the meeting and we had nothing organised, and then we arrived today and there's a massive PA system, there's tents and everything, and they've organised this overnight. And in England, if you have something like that, we would spend months organising it. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, it kind of just goes to show that you don't need all of that. And I mean, I guess everything here is in their community, whereas we have to outsource, but they just did that overnight and it was really cool. But yeah, it was amazing, the whole, nearly every child from Bantuma was there, not just the school but the whole community. There weren't many adults, but and it was really good. What we hadn't appreciated was that the Ghanaians worked differently to us, because they didn't rely so heavily on people outside the community. And it meant that an event like this could be organised overnight, with everybody putting in their own weight and having a common goal. The day was a huge success and everybody really enjoyed it. There was one problem, however. Now, although the Ghanaians had so much to show us, we were entertained with African drumming and dancing, as we were pulled up in front of the whole community made to show our best African moves. There was also traditional cookery, as we were made to knead the banko, which is a doughy-like substance, and it was so hard to do, especially over a coal fire in the already boiling heat of midday, with everybody watching and laughing. Now, as well as the traditional music and dance, the huge PA system blared out modern African music, to which we were shown the latest dance craze by all the children. There was also some Western favourites. Well, I say favourites. They have a weird obsession with Celine Dion out in Ghana. If you ask any of them who their favourite artist is, they'll all say her. I've never seen so much dancing till my heart will go on. Don't ask me how you can manage, they found a way. The Ghanaians had so much to show of their culture. Not only on the day named Culture Day, but from the minute we arrived and were greeted by Akwaba, which means welcome. They were so honoured to have us there visiting Ghana, and they wanted to show us and tell us everything they could about their country. So what was the problem? The problem lay with us. It wasn't until we were made to stand up in front of the whole community and made to think of something to represent our British culture, we realised just how lacking we were in it. Okay, we thought, let's perform a song that symbolises Britain. The national anthem? In the end, that's what we ended up doing, that along with a gusty rendition of Oranges and Lemons. Then we thought we needed some dance, and as we couldn't think of any that was traditional to England, one of the Irish girls in our group showed us what she believed to be simple dance moves. Let's just say our performance left a lot to be desired. Now, I'm not saying our side of Culture Day was a huge disaster. In fact, there were some really good parts. As I said in the previous video, almost all the children of Bantuma had turned out to this Culture Day, and you'll just have to take my word for it, this is way over 100 of them. So there I was, stood in the middle of the school compound with a microphone, trying to get over 100 children whose first language wasn't English to form a circle, because we decided that what we'd do is teach them the hokey cokey. So there I was, standing there with a microphone, trying to get them all to join in this in-out movement, before making a quick exit before the whoa. Eventually, they all got the hang of it. But I don't think the Ghanaians really estimated the lively nature of the hokey cokey, because many villagers decided to take their lives in their hands and wander into the circle just as we were about to run in, completely unaware that over 100 children were about to run towards them in a frenzy. One particularly nail-biting moment was when a small Ghanaian boy, who can't have been more than this high, decided to lead an elderly blind woman through the middle of the circle just as we were about to run in on the hokey cokey. And finally, to top it all off, just as we ran out on the final hokey cokey, left in the middle of the circle, and don't ask me how it got there because I have no idea, stood a rather startled and bleating goat. No clue how it got there. So as I said, our side of Culture Day wasn't a complete disaster. But the problem was we could find hardly anything to represent our culture. It made us question what made it up and what made us proud of our country. Now there's so much to make us proud of Britain. I'm not saying there's not. But in the middle of the school compound, with nothing but a microphone, what could we show them? It wasn't a lack of things to be proud of. It was a lack of ways to show it. The difference between us and the Ghanaians was that they were so able to show their pride for their country, yet we just couldn't find a way. So what's this all about? There's obviously a lot we can do to help Ghana face their future, but that's a whole different TED Talk, and one that I'm not going to cover today. So what can we learn from Ghana? You've probably noticed a common theme here. It's all about pride and community. That's what I think we can learn from them. We need to start not just taking more pride in things, but showing more pride. Going back to the Olympics, how many of you had a flag that you hung up somewhere and you waved about? That's a lot of you. But how many of you have that flag up now? Exactly. The pride was fleeting, and therefore so was the unity. I think my main message is we need to start taking more pride in three things: our community, our country, and our planet. What does showing more pride in these things look like? This may be travelling to town meetings to share with people what you think we can do to improve the local community. This could be sharing stories of your past, places you've been, and places you grew up. It may even be as simple as wearing a badge to show that you support a cause. By taking pride and showing pride in these things, it will enable us to show people that we have pride. It will enable us to have a common goal, something that we all want to work towards. And we'll end up producing something that we're so proud of, we want to work hard to protect and to look after. Now think about this on a global scale. If we can do this, and we can have the whole planet aiming to produce something that we want to protect and look after, think about how sustainable our future will be. We'll all want to work hard to protect the Earth. So that's what I think we can learn from Ghana. To enable us to face a sustainable and a happy future, we need to start not just taking more pride in things, but showing more pride. Thank you.